All right, we're going to start with a 2-hole button, and it's the easiest one. But you need to make sure that you have your double thread through your needle and the knot on the end, like you saw in the last video. And we're going to take a stitch on the wrong side. Remember, this is a 4x8 piece of fabric we've folded in half. We're going to pick one of those sides to be the wrong side, and we're just going to take a little tiny stitch this way. And what we're going to do is seat that knot a little bit tighter instead of trying to pull through it. So I'm just going to take a stitch, and you know how to do a knot at the end. We go through the loop. We're going to hold it tight. So just do one of those, and then make your knot or your needle go right up through the fabric right beside your knot. So your needle and thread are on the right side. You're going to take your button, make sure you know the right and the wrong side. The smooth side is the one that's going to go down on this particular button. I'm going to go up through it, I'm going to drop it down. And then with my left hand, my non-sewing hand, I should say, or non-dominant hand, I'm going to hold that button in place right on top of that spot where it came up. So make sure it's right there. And I'm going to go right back down through. You can hold it with that thumb, turn it over, kind of look at it, make sure you're pretty close. Yep. Turn it back over. And now we're going to come back up. That's our first row. We're going to do that 4 times. We're going to come up through this first hole, back down through the second one. Now after we've done that twice, we're going to take a pin, we're going to slide underneath there just to help lift that up a little bit. So that's going to provide our shank underneath there. If you do it at the very beginning, it's really hard and you'll drop it, and it's just really frustrating in the beginning. When you get better at it, you can do it, that first step, but it just takes a little skill and practice. So that was number 3. Number 4. Notice I stab and stab and stab until I find the exact spot. And I'm also not turning it back and forth, back and forth. I'm keeping it so I look at it the entire time from the front. So I've lifted that up a little bit, so by putting that pin underneath those threads. So now I can let go and I can lift. And you can see that space goes underneath the button. So now I'm going to insert my needle right up through those, right beside those threads. I don't want to go right in the middle of them, but I'm going to go right where I would have gone up. And I'm not going through the button this time. I just came out in between. I'm going to grab a hold. I drop the needle and I grab a hold of that thread. I'm going to wrap it around 3 times. There's 1, 2, 3. And what I've done is make the plastic shank out of thread that we had on our other buttons. Like this one, what I did was make that shank. I lifted this button up, and now I'm going to go back through right at the center, and then I'm going to take a knot. So at the end of any type of stitching that you do by hand, we take 3 knots. So you take a stitch, go through the loop. There's number 2. There's number 3. Go through the loop. That's my knot. Gonna take my scissors, gonna cut right beside there. And there's my 2-hole button. See how that lifts that off? Just enough so that a shirt that I would maybe use this button on would be able to fit underneath there without any problem, and it lays flat.